So now we're at the ranch. Now take me through Philippians 1:29 for a second. For it's been granted to you that for the sake of Christ you should not only believe in him, but also suffer for his sake.
But to suffer for his sake. Yeah. So one is just that it's been granted to you.
Yeah.
Right? You've been allowed. Here's this gift for you to suffer for Christ. And I think we should take heed to that. And in this situation, I mean, he's been stoned, he's been beaten, he's been imprisoned, he's in house arrest. He's saying to keep the same mind. And so, right now we may not be killed for Christ, but there's a lot of suffering for not only just believing the gospel, but to really go out and make disciples who make disciples and sharing the gospel. We talk about a social death that you must face. So you got to go to maybe your friends or your coworkers, your old friends that, hey, I found Christ. They may want nothing to do with you. So all of a sudden you're you're the weirdo.
Yeah.
People have been fired. Kat's been fired for praying with someone at her job at a dentist's office.
Wow.
And it is a suffering. There's no deeper truth than the gospel. You're not going to search this book and find a deeper truth than the gospel. So we want to hold to that, but then share it. And that involves a lot of suffering, of dying to self and humility. And so we need to be armed with that. And also be armed with, you don't know where God is going to take you. You may go to Africa and you may die for the gospel.
That's
we just want to be always arming ourselves and be thinking of that. At the IABC, they're talking about being wrapped in bubble wrap prayers. And all these safe prayers.
That sounds like me.
But to be ready to suffer for Christ. It may not be locked in prison. But it's definitely, there's a social death that you must be willing to die. And it's awkward. I love Dare to Share's phrase that awkward is awesome. So be ready, because you go up to a stranger or I actually think there's something harder than sharing the gospel than with a family member. Yeah. It's for me, it's much easier to share the gospel with a stranger.
Yep, I get it.
Than family members. And it's awkward, and it's your palms get sweaty,
right.
and you may be rejected.
They're comfortable arguing with you. I think that's the thing. They're comfortable telling you exactly how they feel about what you think.
But I mean, it's going to cost you time. It can cost money, and I think you need to be willing to
suffer,
to do that, and to suffer for Christ, because that's what Christ did for us.
One of the most refreshing things I think I've heard on the ranch is most of the conversations I've had with the guys, the ones that I have continual conversations with. I don't think I've met every single person on the ranch yet, but when I'm talking to the guys, they're like, I love my job. I love my ministry. I love the boys. Yeah. I'm all in for these boys. And that is so refreshing, because you do sometimes when there's millions of Christians around the world, but they're not always all giving every single portion of themselves. We've dealt with that in youth ministry ourselves, where we're trying to lead a ministry and people have lives, they have families, and they have things. And so you sometimes feel like you're pulling on every volunteer to try to get them to do, the right thing, or trying to get them to show up. And you're not expecting every single thing from them, because not every single person is called to do exactly what we're doing. I got to the ranch, it's like every single volunteer and staff member there is called to exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They have the unique giftings to be there and giving their lives to the boys, and that is just incredible and refreshing to me.
And here's what makes it worth it. Here's what gives us the strength to do that, and I think people need to see that, is when a boy comes to Christ, then you look back and you go, all the hours, all the sweat, all the tears, worth it. So is not one more life worth more? So then it's that drive to just keep giving and to keep serving.
Yes.
Yeah.